I see people entering. So fun. So fun. Hello, hello. I can wait a couple minutes to let people in, or we can just jump right into it. It looks like we have quite a few people on, so I am just going to go ahead and get started because we were having some technical difficulties here in the American Craft Studio. Happy to be here, excited to be here with you guys to talk about dessert boards. Just wanted to do a brief little introduction as to myself and why I am here with all of you. My name is Megan Faulkner Brown, and I am a wife. I am a mom to 6 children. I am a food crafting fanatic, and I have been ever since I was a little girl. And I am a celebrationist, is what I like to refer to myself as, which means I believe that life should be celebrated in small and big ways, which normally always include yummy treats, which we're going to talk about today. Excuse me. And I'm also the founder of the Sweet Tooth Fairy, which is a chain of retail franchise bakeries here in Utah, which started in my basement kitchen almost like over 15 years ago. So like I said, I am a food crafting fanatic. I have been in this space and in this world for as long as I can remember. And a few years ago, I partnered with American Crafts, which is where I am today, to bring to the home baker, which is how I still consider myself, just some elevated food crafting items, from sprinkles to tools to delicious meltables, which again, we will be talking about today. It's been a great partnership, and I'm excited that these products are available for all of you in your Michaels stores, which is a dream for me because I grew up walking the aisles of Michaels and just being creative and just having so much fun there. So I'm really happy to be here with you today. So just a little bit more history, not about me, but about charcuterie boards, right? It's this big, fancy, long word that some of us have a hard time pronouncing, which is totally fine. It's actually a French word, which when you like split it apart, the first part, which is the char part, actually is the French word for flesh. And then the second part of the word, which is the coute part, means cooked. So traditionally, when you've probably seen these charcuterie boards, they are filled with different kinds of meats and cheeses. Charcuterie is what was referred to these like meat shops in France, where this is back like centuries ago, where they would sell these cooked meats. And so that's a little bit of the history of that big fancy word, which today you're gonna see we have no meat and we have no cheese. So not being someone who speaks French, but I do know how to say sugar in French, which is sucré. So I think we should call our board, let's see, sucraterie, sucraterie board instead of charcuterie board, because we have no cooked meat today. So anyway, just in the spirit of the charcuterie board, they don't have to just be meat and cheese. And today we're just gonna talk about some really fun and easy and simple things that you can do to present your treats. Basically what we're gonna build today is just, it's like an elevated platter. Okay, we're gonna have several just store-bought treats that we've found at our local grocery store, along with obviously some of our Sweet Tooth Fairy products that are available in your Michaels stores. And we're just gonna have some fun. So at this point, are there any questions? Probably not, but that's okay.
Not yet.
Okay, that's perfectly fine. So one of the things that I like, today we're doing like a fall themed, because we're now into fall. We have these fun new colors and fun new sprinkles that are available at the Michaels store. But really the first place to kind of start for me when I'm building these platters is to find something that you're gonna use to put all of the treats and things on. So this is just like a wood tray. Okay, I have a few other bowls. I'll talk to you about those here in a little bit. But you could use, I mean, it could be, you know, a porcelain platter. It could be just like a piece of wood. It could be marble. Honestly, it could be anything that is sizable enough to hold all these different things that we're gonna pile on top. So I love this one just with the fall theme because it's very earthy and it's gonna match all of our treats just great. The other thing you're gonna wanna do is just grab a few different bowls. This is just for display. Sometimes like I'll gather, you know, several things and get it out and then just kind of pick and choose. I won't necessarily use everything, but at least I kind of know what my options are. And again, like I'm sure all of us at home have different size platters or different size bowls, or maybe some are clear, some are glass, some are whatever. There's no like perfect way or ideal way to do the board. Just use what you have. No need to go out and buy anything like particularly fancy for it. Okay, so the next thing that you're gonna wanna do is, I'm just gonna bring this over here. This, as you can see, is just a mixture of a lot of fun edible things. We've got some crispy rice treats, we have some fresh strawberries, some wafer cookies, some sandwich cookies, some pretzels, some popcorn. Now these are all just store-bought. So these boards are really an excellent way to, I mean, if you don't love to bake or if you need something like super fast, kind of last minute, it really is gonna look like so impressive. But in all reality, it's just kind of like you just went through the grocery store and grabbed some bags and some things and decorated them and then put them on. So really, it can be anything. It can be chips, it can be treats, it can be, you know, there's pretzels, there's just whatever you like, whatever your kids like, whatever your friends like. The other thing too is just to think like, we're doing one that's a little bit more fall themed today, but you can do them for birthdays, for, you know, games, for whatever it is. It's just fun to kind of pick a theme and then have some supporting items that go along with that theme. We also do have just some little, these are not edible pumpkins, but these will also just decorate the platter as we move forward. Okay, so I'm gonna set this off to the side here for just a sec, and then I'm gonna talk to you about these beautiful, delicious, amazing meltables that are available in Michael's. So it's really exciting because we have orange, which I used them all. So there's none left in here in the bag, but this is a great color here for the fall. And we're gonna use it today, but these are little wafers. Okay, they're essentially like oops, oh, here we go, yeah. They're just little wafers of like a candy coating. These colors are vanilla. So it's just a really soft, creamy vanilla taste. And we have them available in all these different colors and even more, but these are the ones that we're gonna use today. And so what you're gonna wanna do in order to dress up some of these store-bought treats that we got is you're gonna wanna melt these meltables. So there's a couple different ways that you can do it and that I'm gonna show you today. The first is with some disposable melting bags, not disposable melting bags, disposable pastry bags. So all I did here was just load some into a bag and I tied it off. And then I have a little microwave off here and I'm gonna start it at about 30 seconds just because I like to err on the side of being a little bit extra cautious when it comes to using the meltables. The instructions say to just go like for 1 full minute, which you can totally do. That's how they've been designed. But every microwave's different. So I just, again, like to be a little bit cautious. So I'm just gonna put it in here for 30 seconds. Although that said 3 minutes, I don't know how to use this microwave just yet, but we'll keep track so it's not in there for 3 minutes. And so this will be fun because I'll show you how you can just drizzle your treats. And then the other thing that we've done, which is off camera, but I can describe it a little bit. It's a double boiler. And if there's anyone out there who's unfamiliar with what a double boiler is, it's basically where you have some water. Oh, look at that, 2:30. Are we good? Okay, see, 30 seconds did the trick for these little guys. Okay, back to the double boiler. So what a double boiler is you have a pot and you put about, an inch of water in the bottom, and you kind of have it simmering from like low to medium heat. And then in a heat safe bowl, you put your meltables. So I'll show you. Is it too hot?
No, like just
Oh, pull this whole thing. Sorry, friends. Oh.
You want to do this?
Oh, yeah. Perfect. Jordan's going to show us how we do it. No, it's so great to have helpers. Normally, I'm just like doing this solo, which has been fun, but it's definitely helpful. Okay, so can you see? Jordan's going to get a good shot of that. You can see that there's some water below in the pot. Again, we have it about medium heat. And then it's just you have it to have these meltables in a microwave safe bowl, and then it's just resting on top. And so what that does is it makes it so your meltables will stay melted throughout this whole process, which is really helpful just because we have so many different little things that we're going to be dipping and drizzling. And so this is really great to have that as an option as well. However, if you're scared of the double boiler, it's totally fine. Just use the microwave. You can just put it in a bowl like this, give it a go for about 30 seconds to 1 minute while you're heating it up. And then you're just gonna wanna stir like intermittently, and just make sure that as you are stirring it that there's no clumps, and then you're ready to go. Okay, so let's start with these. I'm gonna grab one of our colors over here. And I just have here, let me move these out of the way. Just have like a sheet pan, little baking pan here that I have lined with some parchment paper. And you're gonna wanna have parchment paper or wax paper, just something that will, that you can rest the treats on, that they're not gonna like stick to, and that you can we can put this easily inside of the fridge to set up. Okay, so I just have some here. Now these are just some crispy rice treats. You can make these super, super simple. You can purchase them again just at like a grocery store. And what we did is we put a candy stick inside of the little square that we cut. And all you're gonna do is kind of just dip it in however high up you wanna go, and just kind of use your spatula or your spoon to kind of bring up some of the meltables. And then you just kind of give it a few little taps, especially with something that's textured like these crispy rice treats. Kind of give it a little bit of a tap to like smooth it over as best you can. And then over here, I'll bring these into the camera shot. You can see we have some of our sprinkles, again, that are available in Michael's. And then we're just gonna drizzle, oops, I'm just gonna sprinkle some on. And then you just set it down. And then I'll do another one with this yellow bag of meltables that we have that I'll show you how to drizzle. So again, I'm just kind of taking the spoon, filling the spoon up with some of the melted meltables, kind of giving it a little bit of a tap just to try to smooth it out. And sometimes if you have like, if you see that like, oh wow, there's so much of this on there and you're not you know, maybe you like your meltables a little scant on your treats. That's totally fine. You can just scrape off as you see fit to kind of get it to the desired amount of meltables that you would want on your treats. Okay, so back to this bag of meltables that we had in the microwave. And it looks like I used a bag that already was a little bit opened, which is fine. Just gonna give it a test here to see what's gonna happen when I, okay. So this bag's opening was a little bit on the big side, but we're just gonna play around and see what happens when I start. Okay, so that is way too big in my opinion, which is fine. We're gonna improvise. It's gonna be great. You see how that came out a little heavy? Although what we can do here, let's do this.
¿Me está tu teléfono? ¿Te están llamando?
We're gonna do some thick, see how nice and thick that is? My daughter's favorite color is yellow, so that would be her favorite one. Let's see. Okay, over here I do have some other ones that are ready. So I will show you a little bit of a thinner drizzle. But again, this is all your call. It's all your creativity. You just do what you think looks best and what you think is gonna taste best. Okay, I'm actually gonna move on to some of these sandwich cookies just for a little bit of variety. Now I'm just gonna dip them. These ones I'm just gonna dip about 3/4 of the way. Like that. You could totally like submerge them into here. I'll show you that. So then you're gonna get like, you know, an actual totally colored, you know, chocolate dip sandwich cookie. And see how I'm just kind of, no, typically I would say to use like a fork in this process, because you'll see when I scoop this onto the parchment paper, there will be like a little bit of kind of puddling below it. But again, the meltables are really good. So I don't think anyone would be upset if they had a little bit extra treat, meltable on the bottom of their cookie. Okay, so now that we have a couple of these to show, you can see I just barely snipped the end of this disposable pastry bag, just like the tiniest little kind of microscopic, and see how that line is way finer. So you just drizzle back and forth, back and forth. So cute, right? Okay, well, you can go back the other way if you want. Kind of do little crisscrosses. And then a few little sprinkles on top. Okay, so fun. All right, so let's see. I'm gonna scooch these over just a little bit. We're under some like hot studio lights, so they're probably not gonna set up that well here, but I do have some that are kind of already prepped that we can definitely do. Okay, I'm gonna switch colors. I've got a few orange things, so I'm gonna move on to some red.
Megan, there's a question about the difference between these meltables and other brands.
Okay, sorry, do you mind saying that one more time?
Yes, what is the difference between these meltables and other brands?
Okay, so these meltables are super smooth. And if you've worked with kind of candy wafers before, hopefully that will make some kind of sense, but they melt really, really easily. And they have like there's just like this snap to them that's very like clean and crisp. Also, in my humble opinion, they're so good. They're so good. They're like snacking worthy. And in previous Zoom classes that I've done before, like I put these in cookie dough, and I use them as, you know, our cocoa flavor I use as like our chocolate chips. These ones I'll use just for color and something different. They're so delicious. But in my opinion, in my experience, again, I've been playing in the kitchen since I was a little girl. I would say that their smooth factor is the thing that kind of sets them apart, and how easily they melt, and just like how creamy they are. So yeah, that's what I would say. I really hope, I think if you guys try these, I think you'll be so happy with how they perform and how they taste. So definitely go pick some up, and they're super reasonably priced as well. So, okay. Does anyone else have anything?
Yes, there's a couple other questions about if you can add food coloring to the meltables.
Okay, so technically, we have so many different varieties of colors. So I would say your first bet, like best bet, would be just to purchase all the colors, because then you have them. And the one thing that's really great about them is if you have any unused meltables, you can just let them set up and reharden, and then you can just re-melt them and use them until they're gone. But as far as adding food coloring, so what you can, but you just would want to make sure that it's an oil-based food coloring and not a water-based food coloring. Otherwise, when you add water to this, it kind of seizes it up, and then it gets like clumpy, and then it's more prone to burn when you're melting it. And so, so yeah, again, I would say we have so many awesome colors, and even if you just got like red, yellow, and blue, you have your primary colors, you can mix and match those to create other colors. We have, you know, a couple white options, and those are really good if you want to use white as your base, and then you just grab a few of the wafers. You mix them in with your white, and then you can get like some pastel colors. So there's lots of options for you to color your meltables, different colors than they come, whether that's by mixing them together or by using some oil-based food coloring. Does that work?
Yes. And there's one more question about if they have flavor, or if you can add flavoring oil to them.
Okay, so we do have several that have flavoring, but you could also flavor them with an oil-based flavoring. The flavor on its own, again, is just, it's just this delicious vanilla creamy flavor. But if you wanted to make it something different, absolutely, you could for sure do that. So, okay, great questions. I would be asking the same things. So, okay, so I'm just gonna move on to red, and I hope you guys can see just how simple this is. And okay, so like I was saying, I have 6 kids. I have 3 girls who are all, one's 12, one's almost 10 in a few days, and one's 9. So they're very close together in age, and they love to play in the kitchen like I did with my mom, who is watching. So hi, Mama. And this is a simple way to engage your kids with something fun, right? If they're having, maybe it's, I don't know what everyone's kind of regulations are right now because of the current situation, but if they're having you know, like an after school gathering, or if you're having a birthday party, little family party, whatever, you can, this is an assignment you can give them that they cannot mess up, which is fantastic. So honestly, I'm just dropping these in kind of 3/4 of the way. I'll coat this one completely like I had done with the other one. It's very, 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 very simple stuff, but it's a fun thing that they can participate in, and also they can be helpful to you, which is also fantastic when you have lots to do when you're prepping for a little gathering. Okay, so here I have another color. I've just got some white. Let's see. I don't know, maybe I'll just do, can kind of do some half and half stuff. Put up some more sprinkles. Okay, so you get the gist, right? You just get meltables melted. Sounds so redundant, but there's really no other way to say it. And you can just dip anything. So we have some of these wafers, same thing. You can just use your spoon or your spatula to coat however much of it you want coated. And then just kind of give it a little tap to get any of the excess meltables off. Scrape if you need to, and then try to find a spot on your tray that there's room for. Okay, so the next thing, I'm gonna set this behind me, and I'm just gonna grab another piece of parchment paper. And this is something that we actually did together a few classes ago, but I've got some, again, store-bought popcorn. If you have some ambitious people who want to just pop it yourselves, that's also definitely doable. And with this, all I'm going to do is just drizzle. I'm going to use our super thick yellow drizzle. And I'm going to put on some gloves at this point. These are also one of my secret weapons in the kitchen. The older I get, the weirder I get. And I just think these help me like so much, because this can be a messy endeavor. But when you have these disposable gloves, it just makes everything so much better. Okay, so here I have some popcorn, and all I'm gonna do is just kind of drizzle back and forth like this. And then I'm gonna move on to a different color. So I don't have red in a bag right now, but I'm just gonna use my spoon and as best I can, just drizzle over that as well. And then I'm gonna use this chocolate cocoa flavor. Ooh. So what happened here is it's been sitting for a minute, so the tip has kind of started to harden, which is fine. I just kind of squoze the dried part out of the end of the pastry bag, and then doing this. Okay, so this is also what's fun with particularly popcorn and with this dessert board. I promise we're working towards something together, friends. Like at this point, if you wanted to add some chocolate candies or some nuts or some like chocolate covered fruit or whatever it is, you know, to the popcorn, you could just sprinkle it over the top and then just kind of fold it over itself, and then you just let it set up. And then you have, you know, some fancy flavored popcorn that took you all of like a minute to put together. So I'm gonna move this again back behind me so I have more space. And then I'm just gonna show you one more thing with one of our fruits that we have here. Let's see. Okay. So you can see we have some delicious, freshly washed strawberries. And one thing to note with strawberries in particular, and just any fruit really, when you're working with the meltables, is that you want to make sure that they are completely dry before you start dipping them. Excuse me. And I think, again, if you've worked with kind of candy wafers before, if you have wet fruit, it won't really adhere that well to it. It kind of slides off. If it's wet and you put it into your bowl, then it just has a chance to kind of mess up the meltables, because then the water or the juice or the whatever it is going into the meltables, which will then cause it to kind of seize up and just perform and act a little bit differently than it's intended to. So just make sure that you wash and dry completely your berries. I'm gonna grab, because I was about to do this, which is cute and monochromatic, but I'm feeling like we need a little bit of contrast with our berries. So I'm gonna grab, okay, I'm gonna grab this. Delicious, yummy bowl of meltables. Okay, so with the berries, so you can either, like, if you leave on the greens, which I recommend because it just kind of plays into the fall theme we have going. I just kind of like pick up the berry by its stem, its leaves, and then hold it there, and then just dip it straight in and do that. Set it down to dry. Doesn't that look good? I don't know what it is about dipped strawberries, but it just feels so fancy. I'm not a fancy person, but when I do this, I do feel fancy for sure. They're just elegant, I think. And you'll see I do have some, once we start building this board here in a few minutes, I do have some other non-dipped treats, which is great to just kind of have something to kind of contrast with all of the meltable that we have going on here. So here's just a drizzle, same kind of just back and forth motion. That angle, okay. Okay. The other thing that you could do, and like right here, I don't have a close fridge, but I believe in you. I know you could do this. So you can dip your anything in whatever color meltable you want. Okay, so let's say it's one of our sandwich cookies or it's one of our strawberries. So you can dip it in, let it set up completely. You can put it in your fridge. You want to put it in the fridge for about 10 or 15 minutes, and that will definitely be enough time for it to set up. And then you can just take it out, find a different color that you want to then dip it in, and then just go back in and dip it into that different color. So then you have kind of layers of different colors that your treats are dipped in. So again, no right or wrong way to play with the meltables, but just get creative. And I'm sure that there are things that you guys will find that little new techniques or tricks that you'll find that work for you. And we would love to hear about it, because we are always excited to empower and encourage our fellow home bakers. So, okay, I'm gonna set this off to the side, and then we are just gonna start building our board. Now, as usual, there's a little bit of TV magic because we had to prep some things before we came here so that we could get this built on live with you. So I'm just gonna scooch these out of the way. And voila! Look how fun. Don't you wanna go to that party? Because I sure do, for sure. Okay. Bear with me for one moment, please, just while I kind of resituate some things here on the table. If there's any questions, now would be a great time. If not, that's perfectly fine. Okay. So back to our board that we started with in the beginning. And here we have this beautiful, delicious tray. Here, why don't I do this so we can see kind of side by side. There we go. This beautiful tray that we chose to be the recipient of all this deliciousness. So what I like to do is, if I'm going to be utilizing some of these other bowls like we had talked about in the beginning, what I like to do is place those first. So here we have just like your average cereal bowl. And let's say you want to put like a fruit dip or in here, or you want to have some of the meltables in a tiny little double boiler right here so people could like dip their own stuff. You could definitely do that. I brought some whipped cream just out of a can. We'll do it at the end just so the lights don't totally melt it all away, but just so you can kind of see that you can have bowls with other things inside that complement some of the things that we will be putting inside of it. The other thing is, because again, we're doing a little bit of a fall theme, you can feel free to decorate with anything that you want that kind of supports the look that you are going for. So I've got, so here are some of the crispy rice treats that we had previously done. You can see these ones are a little different than the ones I showed you today. They are completely covered in the meltables, which is so yum. And what I like to do with these boards, I like to clump all similar treats kind of together, because there's so much that's going to be going on that I like to keep, let's say, sandwich cookies in kind of one spot, and then the crispy rice treats in one spot, so that people are going to be like grabbing as much as their appetites and eyes can handle. But I would just rather prefer, like, oh, if someone wants another Rice Krispie treat, there's not going to be like 17 people trying to grab from every which side. It's like, this is where they live. That's where I know I can restock them. That's just a personal preference of mine. Totally does not have to be that way at all. It just kind of makes it, again, for me, a little simpler in terms of being able to restock or just kind of style. Okay, so here are some of our sandwich cookies that we've dipped. I'm gonna put those over there. Okay, see, here's an example. I don't know if you can see that well, but kind of what I was talking about with dipping it in one color first, letting that set up. So initially this was dipped in yellow. I don't know if you can see that well, and then came back through and then dipped it in the orange. So it's like 75% of this little sandwich cookie is covered, and it's like, you know, half orange, half yellow type of thing. So cute. And then I'm just gonna keep piling, lots of stacking. And again, keeping in mind that this is all store-bought stuff. You don't have to make any of it, which is a bonus for some of us who just have super busy, crazy lives, or maybe you're just not feeling it. Maybe you're just not feeling particularly crafty or resourceful that day. then no worries, we gotcha. Okay. Okay, so now we've got some, I was kind of referring earlier to some non-dipped things. Here are just some fresh grapes, and we can just kind of load them right there. I mean, it is helpful to have a little bit of balance with all the treats, all the carbs, all the things. It's all about moderation, friends, right? So we have some grapes right there. We have some nuts. So we have these little bowls, and I'm actually going to put a few of these almonds in here. Actually, I'm going to do all the almonds in there. So we're just, again, there's really like no right or wrong way to do it, but we're just making little stacks of treats. We're working around the treats that we've already laid down and any decorations that we've put in there. And I don't know if any of you have been to like a gathering or event or have done these and just seen people's reactions, right? They're just, it's like their mind is blown with all the variety, and it's so simple and so fun. Okay, so here are just some store-bought candy corns, and you can just layer them just straight up on there. Like that. We've got, yes.
We have a question on what size your board is.
Oh, it looks like it's about the size of this half sheet pan, which is 18 by 20. No, that's a full sheet. It's like the half sheet size. I'm having a brain freeze. It's definitely bigger than a 9.5 by 11. I would say that is about 18 inches by maybe 12, like a 12 by 18. Let's see, I'm gonna move that out. And look at how yummy these Stroop waffles are. Oh, those are so good. Again, all store-bought. But if you're feeling particularly like you want to bake a bunch, you could totally, like, how cute would it be to do just like little mini cookies on here, or you make a sheet of brownies and then you chop them up into like little cubes, or if you have like little donut holes, so many, the options are literally endless. Literally endless. Okay, let's see how our strawberries are holding up. I think they're still a little not set up all the way, but I'll just put them there just so you can kind of get the feel. Oh, you know what we'll do? Hold, please. We're gonna use the fresh strawberries underneath. Let's see. We'll use those as our just kind of as our base for these other berries. Imagine if they were all dipped and all set up. Let's see, put them there. And then, you know, I brought like an apple. You could just slice up. Oh, yeah, here we go. Magic waffle or apple appearing. And then I also brought some, let's see, just some plain undipped pretzels that we can add in there as well. Let's see. We'll find a spot for them.
So while you're doing that, can you tell them how to preserve or store the leftover meltables and the leftover treats?
Yes, so you just will want to make sure that they're airtight, the meltables. So you can put them in a, you know, a plastic sealable bag, and you can just store them at room temperature. And what you'll, by room temperature, I mean like 72-ish degrees. You don't want them to be that much warmer, or else they'll kind of stay in this state of meltiness, which isn't particularly ideal. But you just want them to be like in a cool, dry environment. And but yeah, just like a plastic sealable bag is totally fine. So I hope that helps. You can just leave, so like what I will do, let's say we have this leftover meltables that are in the bowl, I'll just scoop it straight into one of those plastic bags and kind of let it just set up, just kind of do its thing. And it always gets to the place where it hardens, and then you're able to just use it as you see fit. So this, again, I just bought at the store. Ideally, I would do like a marshmallow fruit dip, or I would do like homemade, you know, whipped cream. And if you had kind of more, you know, more fruit or anything else, if you are mixing this, maybe it is like half and half with some different cheeses or whatever it is, you can have something in the middle that people can dish onto their plate, and then use some of these like supporting items to dip in to the deliciousness. So, so yay, look how fun. Do you have that overhead shot? Yes, that's fun. Like I said, I want to go to this party for sure. Okay, so I don't know if we ended a little early, but
well, someone is asking, where's the popcorn?
Oh, good question. Where did the popcorn end up? It's right here. Thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna take out one of these pumpkins. Thank you for reminding me. Okay, yeah. And we're just gonna break it up. I'm gonna put it right there.
And there was a question that I missed in the beginning. Someone was asking where you got your piping bags from, because they seem longer than ones they could find, and we like those.
Oh, yeah, so those are Sweet Tooth Fairy piping bags. I appreciate that she appreciates the size of them, because as someone who works with frosting and meltables and things all day, every day, it's very helpful to have big ones. I don't know that they're not available at this moment, but we are hoping to bring them back soon. So, but you can go to like a restaurant supply store and try to find the like bigger ones. I know that there are other brands available in Michael's they're not disposable, but they are the fabric ones, which are also super great to use. But yeah, it's really helpful to have the really big ones for sure. So, okay, any other questions?
Nope, that was it. Just you have a lot of comments on it. Looks delicious and fun, and they want to go to that party too.
Yeah, good. Okay, I promise you can do it. It's fun, it's easy. You can, you know, solicit the help of your friends or your children or whoever, or do it yourself, but you can see it's really, really simple to pull together. These meltables, I think, make all the difference. These sprinkles, they're so fun because they just add, you know, little pops of color, a little bit of variety. And yeah, you'll for sure everyone will love you for putting this out for them to enjoy. So thank you so much for being here. We'll see you next month. We have classes each month for the next few months, so please sign up and I will see you then. Thanks.